Hello, beautiful souls and fellow beams of light and love on planet Earth at this crazy time. I wanted to pop in and talk about procrastination and something that I've noticed for those who have a vision and they have the desire or the dream or the goal that they're working towards, but get caught up, distracted, or doing things that aren't actually relevant or supportive. And my goal with today's message is that it's going to help you get back on track and get out of your own way. And this is something that I was reflecting on for myself, and I noticed a big contrast between two different times. One time where I did what I'm about to share with you, and it helped me create the reality so much faster, and where I found myself stuck right now for the last few months that has kind of kept me looping in a beginner mindset and not quite taking action the way that I know that I could be. So my example is related to book writing. As some of you know, I love writing books. I love creating and sharing stories. And a few years back, I had the goal and the intention that I was going to become a best-selling author. And I took all the aligned action to set myself up for it, even though I didn't know how it was going to happen. And this is the key word of today's message, how. Because when we get caught focusing on how something's going to happen, it takes us out of alignment. So this is the perfect story because I actually ended up becoming a best-selling author and co-writing this book. It was #1 in multiple categories on Amazon. It got featured in Forbes, and the way it manifested or materialized into my reality just seemed so easy. I didn't really have to do anything other than first get into that identity and start embodying, thinking, acting like I already was a best-selling author. So what I did at that time was I took a trip. I felt really called to Scotland. I had an opportunity to go house sit there. And quick disclaimer, of course, your process is going to look very different than mine, and it might not involve a travel plan or house sitting or some kind of sporadic thing, but this is just what worked for me, okay? So I felt really stuck and stagnant in Los Angeles, even though that had been an incredible manifestation and a really beautiful chapter in my life. But I was feeling really pulled to keep writing a book that had started coming through earlier that year. I wanted the space to go do this, and I started looking at house sits because that was a preferred form of travel at the time. And there was a house sit and a pet sit in Scotland in this tiny little town right off the water. There's a castle nearby. Everything about it was so magical. And I was like, this is where I'm meant to write my book. So I applied, I got accepted, I booked my trip, and I started acting like an author already. So I want you to keep this in mind as you're listening of your current goal and your desired reality, and where are you not acting in accordance with it? Or where are you not acting like it's already done and it's guaranteed and you just get to put one foot in front of the other and show up as them? So I booked the trip. I started putting my coaching business on hold. I stopped showing up on social media quite the same way. I wasn't promoting my coaching as much. I wasn't stressing about money, even though I was in credit card debt and I probably should have been. But I was like, I know I'm meant to be writing a book right now, and this is what feels so strong in my soul of this current chapter. So I'm going to trust my intuition, and I'm going to trust my higher self as she's piecing these puzzle pieces together for me, and I'm going to go do this. So I started writing. And as I said, I paused some of the other things. I prioritized just my daily meditation and prayers and quantum healing hypnosis. I was doing lots of self-care work, and then my creative energy was being channeled into writing a book. And the crazy thing that isn't that crazy if you've manifested and co-created things in your life before is that it didn't come about in a way I could have ever prepared or planned for. And it wasn't even the book I was working on that ended up getting published. It was a different opportunity with a woman I met through a friend, and they were doing this book called Manifesting Queen, and it was coming out on November 11th, and like there was just so many alignments with it that felt beautiful and perfect, and like the greatest way to get my story out there. So I had gone to Scotland with the intention of becoming a best-selling author and prioritizing my book writing time. And then like a month into being there, this started to all show up in my reality. And I started working on a different chapter and a different part of my story, but it all came to fruition and it all happened. This is because I wasn't fixated on how, and I wasn't stressing myself every single day being stuck in my mind thinking, how am I going to make this happen? How am I going to bridge the gap from where I am to where I want to be? How am I going to become a best-selling author when I don't know anything about writing or publishing books, right? The list of how questions could go on and on and on. And this is where I see a lot of my clients getting trapped as well. This is why getting out of your mind or learning how to kind of rewrite some of these stories or diffuse the amount of power that you're giving to them, and then stay in your body and stay in alignment with your higher self and that deep soul knowing is so important. Because those how questions, as I said, can go on forever and ever. And once you fixate on it long enough, it gets deeper and deeper, and you're going to be more overwhelmed. Like the mental overload starts happening, and it can cause us to freeze. It can cause us to doubt ourselves. It can cause us to get so overwhelmed by not knowing how it's going to happen that we don't even start, or we don't even take the actions to move ourselves closer. And I do not want that for you. It breaks my heart when I see this, because I truly believe that the things that are calling out to us or pulling us forward, and especially those things that come from inspiration, they are absolutely winks and nudges from our higher self and our future self saying, hey, in this reality or in this timeline, you've already done this. So let's go. Start working towards it now, and I'm going to assist and help co-create it with you. But when we get stuck in the overwhelm and then we shut down and don't even try, we obviously never reach it. And the contrasting story, which is where I caught myself yesterday, is that I have been stuck in the how for a little while in a different example, which is I am now in the process of writing a ton of different books. They keep channeling through. Like, I seriously just get downloads and then I write or voice note myself chapters and chapters, and I have the full vision of children's book series or like adult books and all these different themes and topics, and I have so many books on the go. And the writing is not the problem. Like, that part comes so easily to me. But when my mind gets in the way and it starts going, well, how are you going to market these? How are you going to share them with people? How are you going to put them out in the world? Are you going to create your own app, which is what I was leaning towards, and basically make my own little version of Audible? Or like, but then you need to start that process, and then there's going to be work, and then there's going to be action steps and all these other things. Can you see how that immediately takes me out of being a divine channel where the energy is flowing through, the messages, the books are flowing through, the creativity is flowing through, but suddenly when I get pulled into the how, my mind blocks it all. And now instead of finishing a handful of these books that only needed a couple chapters, I finished them months ago otherwise. Like, they're just missing a few chapters. But I stopped the creative writing process and I blocked the flow of energy coming through to finish them because my mind started to get so fixated on, but what happens next? And since I didn't know exactly what happens next with how I want to put these out into the world, then I just stopped taking action towards it altogether. And then I kind of sat around in a stagnant energy and a little bit stuck because every day I was like, oh, I really want to be writing these books, but I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Or I don't know if it's going to work to make my own app this way, even though I have a friend who's already designed it for me. Like, the process can be so simple and it can materialize so easily if we don't let our head get in the way. And that's my takeaway for you today, because I've just been journaling and looking at the procrastination that came in because my mind got overwhelmed with not seeing a perfectly crystal clear vision of what to do or how to get there. And I was like waiting for a sign or waiting for it to just feel so obvious. And because I didn't have that, it's like I was trying to clean up the back end instead of finishing the books, being the identity like I did back in Scotland of going, I don't know how, but I am a best-selling author and I'm writing my books, I'm showing up as her daily, I'm setting the boundaries so that I can be her now. That is what got me into alignment to basically bring the corresponding reality into existence. So right now, you have a dream, you have a vision, you have a goal. And if you have been stuck procrastinating or overanalyzing it or worrying about the how, I invite you to spend some time, meditate or journal on what I've just spoken about, and look at how you and your mind are actually blocking the energy from flowing through. And if you can surrender the how and ask a higher power to make it clear, make it known, so that you can just be the creative channel, and you say, I just want to be showing up in this way, or launching this thing, or putting my art out there, or starting this new business venture, or giving back in this way, and that's who I want to be. Don't get so lost in the how and the steps of how you think it's going to play out to get you there, and instead just start being that version of you. Asking for the guidance to make itself known and the pathway to make itself clear for you so that you can just start moving as that person. I actually talk about this a lot more in my free 3-day Divine Feminine Rising program as well, because it's all about being in that future identity and just being the energetic match, because we're always emitting a frequency, right? And if we're in the frequency, like I have been the last few months, of overwhelm or how's it going to happen, or looping at the beginning stages, I'm only going to receive the corresponding frequency back in my reality. It can only mirror and reflect the same thing back to me because that's what I'm operating at. And in my free 3-day program, which is in the links down below and on my website, it really helps you get out of that and get clear on where you're still stuck in the past and your current reality or the so-called challenges of it, and start showing up from your higher self and moving confidently through the world, taking up space in this new sense of self and this new identity. And how quickly I have seen this collapse reality and bring it in for people is absolutely beautiful, and it's absolutely wild. So I highly encourage you to check out that 3-day program if you need some further assistance beyond just journaling or reflecting on what I'm sharing today. But it is time to embody that version of you. Realize that your mind does not have the answers, even though it's going to try to convince you that it does, or it's going to try to tell you that if you just think about this long enough, you'll find the answer. I promise you, the reality is going to show up in a way that your mind could not have ever comprehended, which is why we just waste time the more we sit there thinking. I want you to start being and embodying and holding that frequency, being in the energy, making the moves as though this is working out for you. Command reality to bend to your every move and walk through the world like that. I hope this helps. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And I'm sending you so much love as you overcome your own mental blocks or procrastination and start putting yourself out there the way you know you're meant to.